Hi, my name is Jen. I have been wearing alternate hair for a year now. So I thought for all of you people who are starting to wear hair, I would go through the A to Z of hair loss and let you know what I've learnt along the way. A is for alopecia. I had heard the word before, but I didn't really know what it meant. Alopecia is the medical term for hair loss. There are different types of alopecia. The most common is called androgenic alopecia, also known as female pattern hair loss. That's what I've got. It's thinning around the scalp or around the hairline, loss of hair. The next is called alopecia areata, which is where hair falls out in patches. The next is the most advanced level of hair loss called alopecia universalis. It's total loss of hair all over the body. And the last type that I have learnt things about is called traction alopecia. That's when there is damage to the hair follicle from continuous pulling, which I noticed when I wore a topper that had a cap slightly too small for me, and it created traction alopecia, which gave me a little bit of head sores and balding on those patches where those clips were. B is for blending. Everybody wants their hair to look as natural as possible. I recommend getting some layers, some face framing, so it looks more natural. Mess up the part so it's not completely straight, so it's more realistic. Get some of your natural hair, if you have some baby hairs, and pull them forward so it looks more natural. Or better yet, get a fringe. Then you don't have to worry about the blending at all. C is for canvas head. This is a canvas head. Because a lot of us girls who have hair loss, we've never had to style our hair, our natural hair before, because we didn't have much of it. So it's like now we've got to learn all over again. So when you get alternate hair, whether it's a wig or a topper, get a canvas head. This way you can put your hair on the canvas head and style it freely without having it on your hair or on your head, without having to try and figure out what's happening at the back. You can see the whole thing on the head. While you're at it, make sure you get some T-pins. Initially I was using needles because that's all I had in the house, and I didn't know that I actually needed T-pins. These are thicker than needles and they're easier to see when you're putting them through the hair, and then also they are far more secure. At the same time, I also bought this clamp. This goes onto the side of a bench or a table in your bathroom or wherever you like to style your hair. However, if I could do it all again, I would much prefer to buy a stand with some secure stabilizing feet, so then it's not going to slip off no matter how tight it is, and it's much easier and height adjustable. I also purchased them from eBay through China, and they took such a long time to come. Yes, they were cheaper, but this is just my advice and what I've learnt over this year. D is for density. Depending on who you buy your hair from, they might say that something is high in density when in reality with a different vendor, it's not. For example, my first topper, this is 130% density. I have also received a wig that's claiming that it's 150% density. And to me, they're the same. They're the same density. So to me, 110 to 120% density is thin density. 130 to 140 is medium density. And 150 plus is thick density. Actually, I thought that this was a lot of hair. I thought it was heavy and I just completely wasn't used to it because my natural hair is really fine. But now I love it. I definitely would prefer 130 over anything. E is for ear tabs. Now ear tabs are only on wigs, they're not on toppers. They're basically to help give a natural side part. So this is where they're situated, just above the ear or in line with the ear if you don't have this natural hair here. Now, this is an example of one that's lace. So it's basically just an extra bit of hair and it will sit right here. But for me, I have hair there, so I think I'll remove this. On some other wigs, they are a thicker material. Here is another one. So see that little tabs there? And some of them have Y in them, so you can bend it and mold it to your head. F is for fibers. Fibers are a great way to help blend your topper in with your natural hair. You simply sprinkle these into your hair and give them a rub, and they won't wash out until you wash them out. They are made from cotton and they cling to the hair follicle, making your hair fuller. They are very useful, especially those with minimal hair loss, just to make it feel more full and look more full. And my personal preference is the brand Boost and Blend. There are many other brands out there like Topic and many others, but that's my personal preference. Some people think that they're quite messy, but for me, Boost and Blend is a really great brand. You can buy them online. There's all different brands, all different colours, all around the world. I highly recommend them. G is for grip. A lot of people that wear grips are usually wig grips. So essentially it is a band that's typically made out of velvet, like a headband. You put it on your head and then you put your wig over the top of that. A lot of these grips have lace at the front of them or where the part is to make them more hidden, more natural. There are also grips for toppers now. So if you find that the clips are a little bit too sensitive for you, rather than clipping the clips into your hair, you can clip the grip into the clips instead. And this prevents the wig and the topper from sliding back. H is for hand-tied. Hand-tied is literally each individual strand of hair hand-tied into the cap. Each individual strand. So here's one here. So hopefully you can see my thumb on the other side of the cap. They're individually sewn in, hand-tied. So it gives the wig or the topper a more naturally flowing, natural look. I is for inches. Everything hair loss related is always measured by inches. The length of the hair, the size of the cap, the circumference of your head, the circumference of a wig, it's all measured in inches. So a wig is typically 21 to 23 inches. So that's the circumference. So you need to measure all the way around to see what size of a head you have for the wig to make sure that it fits well for you. With a topper, if you have a large area of hair loss, then you need a larger cap. So the more hair loss you have, the bigger the cap you need. If you only have a small area of hair loss, then you only need a small cap. I wear an 8 by 8 inch cap. So my hair loss is mainly up the top here, so it fits right at my crown, and I can easily have my hair covered in all of my hair loss areas. And the more hair that I have, the bigger the cap. So if you have a small cap that's only perhaps a 5 by 5, then you won't have as much hair. Whereas if you have a cap that's 10 by 10, which is very large, you'll have a lot of hair on it. J is for justifying the hair, justifying the price. For me, it's worth every cent, even though this condition is none of our fault and we can't help it, and it's not fair that the solution is really expensive. If you're still on the fence whether to buy alternate hair or not, do it. It'll change your life. It'll bring back so much more confidence. You'll be so thankful that you finally did. K is for knots. A lot of women in this community, they really want to make sure that the hairs, especially in the lace front, at the front of wigs and toppers, look as natural as possible. Sometimes the knots can look quite dark and quite obvious, but again, this is only when people are looking up really close to your hairline, and if they are that close, tell them to get some personal space. So if you have dark knots, hopefully I can show you what I mean. So this one's pretty well done, but there are others that are a lighter colour that still have dark knots. You can take them to a hairdresser who can professionally bleach them and make them a lot less visible, or some women, they put concealer right on the part to make them a lot lighter and more natural. L is for lace front. I have just popped on my wig that has a lace front. So you can see this lace right here. See how it's lifting? A lot of people find that this is more natural because it looks like that the hair is growing directly out of the scalp. So what a lot of women do is they place some glue underneath the lace. It's not actually glue. It's a product called Got To Be. That's the brand, and it's very popular. And they just put some glue underneath the lace all the way around, so there's some adhesive, and so it sticks to their head all day, giving them the comfort and the confidence that it won't come off, I should say. M is for monofilament. I know, it's a long word. Also known as mono or monotop. This here, this light section here, this is a nylon, hand knotted, individual monofilament monotop. It's basically a nylon construction, giving the hair ease of movement for how it's styled. It's just a natural looking base. And as you can see, it's kind of see-through, so your natural scalp shows through, so it's making it a more natural colour. N is for nourishment. Just like your own natural hair, you need to look after your hair. You need to shampoo, condition, and give your hair a treatment. So the positive of wearing alternate hair is you don't have to wash it as often as your natural hair, because your natural oils aren't touching your alternate hair. So as a general rule, every 20 washes, that's when you should wash your wig or your topper. But you can generally feel when it needs a wash. Like if you've been out somewhere with a lot of pollution in the air, or a bonfire, or if you wear it very often, you can feel when it really needs a wash. Olaplex is a popular brand for washing the hair, especially giving it a treatment. But whatever products you use, make sure that they're sulfate and paraben free. O is for origins of hair. This can be very confusing, and I'm sure that a lot of vendors aren't being completely transparent or even know themselves exactly where their hair is coming from or what type it is. So this is what I know. Virgin European hair has not been treated by chemicals. It can come in straight, wavy or curly, and it takes very well to professional colour. Then there's Brazilian hair. Brazilian hair doesn't tangle. It is in its original state with the cuticle. Therefore, it respects the way that the hair moves and flows, and is the most popular type of hair on the market. This is Brazilian hair. It's definitely my preference. Indian hair. Indian hair is very similar, very close to European hair, but the texture of the hair is a lot lighter. Then there's Remy hair. Remy hair can be Indian or a combination of Indian and Asian hair, and can be chemically treated. It usually comes in straight, wavy, or curly types. P is for prescriptions. The best kind of doctor to diagnose your hair loss is a dermatologist. I went to a dermatologist and she diagnosed me with androgenic alopecia, also known as female pattern hair loss. She gave me prescriptions to two very common medications that are often given for hair loss. However, I have heard so many women in this community taking these medications, and they have caused all kinds of side effects, and none of them got their hair back. They didn't get their hair loss to stop. It's not a permanent fix, so rather than putting all these chemicals into my body, I've decided to focus on the solution, which is alternate hair. Q is for quick and easy. It takes me less than a minute to put my hair on. This is my topper, a comb, and 6 clips. It takes me no time at all. 3 clips done, and I'm just scooping the clips under my natural bio hair, clipping them in. Quick and easy. R is for rooted, also known as roots. So this is a common term that when someone wants something like a rooted piece, or to get their roots darkened, they just simply want a little bit of regrowth, so it's just more natural looking. That's what this is all about, trying to get this as realistic and natural looking as possible. S is for silk top. This is just an advanced way of knotting each of the strands of hair, the roots, in between layers of silk. My topper, she is a silk top. You can see that this is silk and looks very realistic. T is for topper. A topper goes on the top of your head, still incorporating your bio hair. It just goes over the top, as its name suggests, whereas a wig goes over all of your hair. A topper is a lot lighter and a lot less hot than a wig. It is a lot easier to put your hair up with a topper, whereas a wig is a lot harder because it needs to mold to your head. So the smaller the base of the topper, the easier it is to put your hair up. U is for UV. The UV protection that I get from wearing a topper or from wearing a wig is fantastic. Because my scalp is so exposed because of how thin my hair is, I would constantly be getting sunburnt and having my head peel, which was disgusting. It was not a pretty sight. A lot of people purchase an inexpensive hairpiece when they want to go to the beach or to the pool, and they also use this to exercise in. I wouldn't be using one of my more expensive pieces to be using in chlorine and things like that. So that's another positive about having the protection of the UV. V is for vendors. There are many different vendors within this hair loss community that sell different products, different toppers, different wigs, different hair accessories. There are so many people in this community that can definitely offer their experiences and give advice. So before you go and rush and buy something, make sure you ask around first. Unfortunately, there are a lot of vendors out there that aren't very honest and that take pictures from people and from other companies and try to use them as their own. So just be careful. I also want to mention that with the different vendors, they all offer different quality of different things. For example, they might all offer clips for toppers, but some might be more sensitive than others. So do your research and ask around, because they are all different, even though they think that they're offering the same product. They're not. W is for wefts. Wefts are basically curtains of hair. So my topper has some wefts in it. So whenever you see these lines in a wig or a topper, it basically means that there is a curtain of hair sewn to each of these. So they are a little bit more heavier than a hand-tied piece, but it doesn't really make a difference in my opinion. X is for Xaern. Once you start buying hair pieces, you won't be able to stop. It'll make you feel Xaern. Y is for youth. I think the biggest thing that surprised me in this whole year of wearing hair is that hair loss doesn't discriminate. I have met people who have had hair loss since they were a toddler all the way through to when they're much older. I started to get hair loss in my early 30s. I'm now 33, and I find that a lot of people, may not be the majority, but such a big portion of the hair loss community are in their 30s when I think of hair loss, or when I thought of hair loss, I thought of people with cancer or people aging. I never thought that it would affect the youth. But on another note, hair makes you look younger, which makes you feel younger. And if you want to look really young, just get a fringe. Simple. Z is for Zest and for Zing. As soon as you start wearing alternate hair, you will have a zest for life and put a zing in your step. Once you start, you can't stop. It's fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed my A to Z, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm learning, as I'm sure a lot of you still are. Let's help each other.